Hi everyone, today we're talking about how we read and create two-way relative frequency tables. As a reminder, you do not need to write down everything we'll cover in this video, but be sure to jot down important information and at least one example of each type of problem that we'll cover. Also remember that you can pause the video to jot down important notes, rewind to view information again, and fast forward if you think you got it. But be careful, make sure you don't fast forward so much that you miss out on something important. All right, so last time we talked about two-way frequency tables. Frequency was a count of how many times an event occurred. So this time we're talking about relative frequency. Relative frequency is a ratio or a percent showing us how many times an event occurred. And it's a ratio or a percent because it's going to be out of a relative total or a given total. It's called a relative total because sometimes the total, as you know on a two-way frequency table, is going to be different. There's many different types of totals. So that's why it's called a relative frequency because it depends on whatever total you're looking at. It's relative to the question. So here's a couple of formulas that you should probably write down into your notes. If you want a relative frequency ratio, it's just the frequency, the amount of times it happened, divided by the relative total. Make sure that your ratios are reduced too. If it's a relative frequency percent, it's going to be the frequency, the amount of times it occurred, divided by the relative total, the total you're looking at, multiplied by 100 so you have it as a percent. And that's it. The only tricky part is making sure you read the question correctly and you're looking at the correct frequency and relative total because there's just like so many different frequencies and totals going on in your table. Please be sure to put this in your notes and then we're going to head on over to do some examples. All right, so first type of problem is reading a two-way relative frequency table. That's where they give you the table and you're answering the question. So in this problem, a university surveyed its students on their opinions of campus housing. The following two-way table displays data for the sample of 200 students who responded to the survey. Of the students in the sample, what fraction were male? Go ahead and pause the video. Try this one on your own. All right, so the key words in this question is of students in the sample because it's telling you what it's going to be out of. Out of the students in the sample, what fraction were male? So they're saying it's going to be out of all the students in the sample. That would be that 200. If they were saying out of the people who had positive opinions, what fraction were male, then you're looking at just the total for the positive opinions. So it's important to look at what they're looking at in terms of the total. The total here is all the students in the sample. So what fraction was male? Male is 90. 90 total males out of the students in the sample, the total students in the sample. So you should have put down 90 out of 200. You should be in the habit of reducing your fractions and ratios, but in this case it looks like they didn't to make it a little easier so you can quickly find your answer rather than reducing all of them to check it. So you have 90 out of 200. Okay, hopefully you got that one correct. Let's try another one. Same table. But in this question, they want to know what percent of males, so percent, out of all the males, had a negative opinion of campus housing. Pause the video and try it on your own. All right, so we do want our answer as a percent, and it's going to be out of all the males. So we want to look at the total of all the males. What percentage of males had a negative opinion of campus housing? As soon as they say it's this total, you're not even looking at the other numbers because they have nothing to do with the males. Okay, the rest is just the grand total or the females. and all that kind of stuff. As soon as they say what percent of all the males, you're just looking at the male data, had a negative opinion of campus housing. So it's going to be 36 out of 90. But they do want it as a percent. So you're going to put in your calculator 36 divided by 90. You're going to get an answer. And that answer is 0.4. That 0.4 needs to multiply by 100 to get 40%. Or if you already know how to change a decimal into a percent, you can just move it over 2 decimal places and get it to 40. So it's 40% of just the males that had a negative opinion of campus housing, if I were just comparing the males. Hopefully you got that one correct. We're going to do another question. All right. In this problem, it says, a school collected some information about the experience of its teachers. Here is what they found. What fraction of English teachers have at least 5 years of experience? Go ahead and pause the video and try it on your own first. All right, so they're saying what fraction, so they're looking for a fraction of English teachers. So that means I'm just looking at English teachers. I'm ignoring the rest of these because we're just looking at English teachers. So just looking at this right here. If I am just looking at English teachers, that means the total is going to be the total of all the English teachers. And we want to know what fraction of English teachers have at least 5 years of experience. So 5 or more. Okay, greater than or equal to 5, at least 5 years. So not going to look at this one because it's less than 5. 5 to 10 years is at least 5 years of experience, and also not more than 10 years. So for this one, we're actually going to add 9 and 2 together to get 11. It's going to be 11 out of 15. So 11 out of the 15 total English teachers have at least 5 years of experience. That one was a little tricky because of the at least 5 years of experience. Okay, so let me know how you do on these problems. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in class.